All right, today we are jumping into a real head scratcher in the crypto space. It's all about the strange disconnect between Ripple, the company, and XRP, the asset. See, on one side, you have this company making these huge strategic moves all over the globe. But on the other side, you've got its crypto asset, XRP, and it just isn't keeping up. So, what's the deal? Let's get into it. So let's just lay this central question right out there. Ripple is dropping billions of dollars, they're winning major regulatory battles, they're expanding everywhere. I mean, by all accounts, you'd think XRP would be heading to the moon, right? But it's not. In fact, it's going the other way. So the big question is, why? Okay, so first, let's just look at the case for Ripple's success. To really understand this whole puzzle, you've got to appreciate just how much the company itself is crushing it. Seriously, their recent moves have been incredibly aggressive and really ambitious. Let's start with this number right here, $4 billion. That is how much Ripple has spent this year alone, just to build out its ecosystem. We're not talking about a small investment here. This is a massive bet on building a true financial powerhouse. So where's all that cash going? Well, Ripple has been on an absolute shopping spree. They snapped up GTreasury, a corporate treasury firm, for a cool $1 billion. They bought Rail for stablecoin tech, Palisade for super fast crypto custody, and they've got Ripple Prime for top-tier institutional liquidity. And look, these aren't just random purchases. Think of them like puzzle pieces. Ripple is building a complete, all-in-one financial machine. The end goal? To create one single platform where any business can move, manage, and optimize its money instantly, anywhere in the world. And it's not just about buying up companies. Ripple is also playing the regulatory game and winning. They locked down a major payment license in Singapore. That's a huge financial hub. Then, over in the UAE, their brand new stablecoin, RLUSD, just got the green light for institutional use. And a stablecoin, is just a crypto that's pegged to a stable asset like the US dollar. Getting these kinds of official approvals is a massive vote of confidence. You don't have to take my word for it. Ripple's president, Monica Long, she laid it out perfectly. She said they're building the entire stack that big institutions need to jump into the on-chain economy. The whole new financial world being built on blockchains. From Ripple's point of view, the future couldn't look brighter. Okay, so that's Ripple, the company, firing on all cylinders. But this is where we slam right into the big contradiction. Because while the company is doing great, the asset, XRP, is telling a completely different story. And there are theories, right? Some people point to the shadow of that big SEC lawsuit, while others wonder if XRP is even that essential for all these new services Ripple's building. Whatever the reason, the numbers don't lie. Just look at this. In the last 2 months, while all that good news was happening, the price of XRP dropped by 31%. That's a huge fall, and it creates this massive gap between how the company's doing and how its asset is valued by the market. And if you dig into the data, the picture gets even darker. Social media sentiment is at extreme fear, which basically means confidence is in the basement. Network velocity is high, which tells us people are flipping it fast, not holding it for the long haul. And to top it all off, more and more traders are shorting it. They're literally betting that the price is going to fall even more. And just to put a pin in it, right now, as we're talking, XRP is trading for just over $2, and it's down almost 4% in just the last day. All the positive headlines in the world haven't been able to stop the bleeding, at least not in the short term. So we've got these two completely opposite stories playing out at the same time, a booming company and a struggling asset. So this is where we get to the potential reveal. What if everyone is looking at this the wrong way? What if staring at the daily price chart isn't the real story at all? This really is the key question, isn't it? You've got a company making billion-dollar moves and an asset that's lost a third of its value. How do you make sense of that? How do you square that circle? Well, check out this quote from an analyst who goes by Black Swan Capitalist. They said, "I stopped looking at the XRP chart a long time ago. The candles mean nothing without context. Instead, they watch who is actually using the technology and what's being built behind the scenes." This perspective suggests that maybe, just maybe, focusing on the daily price action is missing the forest for the trees. Let's call this the adoption-focused view. It's basically a decision to ignore the crazy, noisy day-to-day price swings. Instead, you focus on the real-world stuff. How is the technology being integrated? What actual value is the company creating for the long haul? So, if we put on these adoption-focused glasses, how does it change things? What does Ripple's long game actually look like? What are the moves they're making that matter more than what the price does on any given Tuesday? Well, if you look at Ripple's roadmap, it points to exactly that. Their plan is to keep integrating all those companies they bought, to build out even more services for big corporate clients, and to drive even deeper adoption by major financial institutions. This isn't a plan for a quick pump. This is a multi-year strategy. And there are a couple of potentially huge things on the horizon. For one, the possible creation of XRP ETFs. That would be a game changer, because it would make it super easy for big money to flow in. I mean, can you imagine if a giant like Vanguard started buying in? That's the kind of cash that could easily soak up all the short-term selling we're seeing right now. And that brings us to the ultimate question. Is Ripple playing a long game of chess while the rest of the market is just playing checkers? Will their long-term, slow and steady strategy to rewire global finance eventually pay off and be reflected in XRP's price? Or is this strange disconnect between the company and its asset here to stay? That, right there, is the multi-billion-dollar riddle.